Shalom from Israel to all of the Daystar viewers around the world. I'm Moshe Bar Tzvi, the producer and founder of Israel Now News. We at Israel Now News are dedicated to bringing you the full story and the truth about Israel from Israel. It's written in the Holy Bible when David said in Psalm 25:5, "Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." And God says in Zechariah 8:16, "These are the things that you shall do. Speak out the truth to one another. Judge with truth and judgment to peace in your gates. And always search for the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:31. I hope you enjoyed the program. God bless you from Jerusalem. Shalom, shalom.
Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, Israel has freed another 26 Muslim terrorists. Despite the pleas of bereaved loved ones who filed an emergency injunction with the Israeli Supreme Court, the State of Israel went forward with the release of 26 Palestinian terrorists. As part of the current peace negotiations, Israel has agreed to release a total of 104 terrorists as a goodwill gesture to the Palestinian Authority. A spokesperson for the bereaved family said that by turning loose the terrorists, Israel is making them heroes in the PA-controlled territories and the Islamic world, and he believes that they will go on to kill again. The terrorists were in fact welcomed as heroes by the PA. Extravagant celebrations were held in Ramallah, where Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas expressed his pride in the terrorists and promised that he will not make any peace agreement with Israel until every Palestinian terrorist is free. Each released terrorist will receive a monthly stipend and an honored title from the Palestinian Authority.
Just as Israel was undertaking the heart-wrenching and painful concession to further the peace process by releasing the terrorists, the chief Palestinian negotiator announced that the peace talks are dead. Saeed Erekat declared the negotiations a failure and said that the Palestinian Authority should immediately continue to seek unilateral statehood recognition from the international community, and he called on the world to recognize a Palestinian state based on the pre-1967 lines with Jerusalem as its capital.
Israeli security officials have nabbed a 32-year-old member of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade from Gaza for planning a terrorist attack. He was arrested while in Israel on a special humanitarian medical permit, receiving treatment for his eye. The IDF released a statement saying that the terrorist was forced to delay his attack against Israeli civilians when he developed an eye condition which impaired his ability to function as a sniper. The Israeli Shin Bet Security Service released a statement saying every month the State of Israel allows thousands of Gaza Strip residents to enter Israel for humanitarian and medical needs, but sometimes terrorists cynically exploit these permits and use them to transfer terror funds and engage in illegal activity.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has disclosed intelligence to the P5+1 nations that Iran is advancing nuclear development. Netanyahu maintains that Israel is currently developing centrifuges capable of enriching uranium 6 times faster than usual. And he continues to warn the world that the Islamic Republic is likely using the negotiations as a stalling tactic to give sanctions relief the opportunity to boost its struggling economy while still racing to produce nuclear weapons capable of destroying the Jewish state of Israel.
Russia has been rocked by a series of deadly terrorist attacks. Just 2 months before the Olympic Winter Games are scheduled to be held, Muslim terrorist leaders called for attacks against Russian civilians. At least 17 people were killed in a suicide bombing at a train station in the city of Volgograd. The following day, another 14 people were killed and dozens injured in a bus bombing. Knowing all too well the pain of terrorism, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sent Israel's condolences to Russian President Vladimir Putin. He wrote that our thoughts and prayers are with you and the Russian people at this difficult time. Netanyahu said these despicable attacks serve as a painful reminder of the urgent need for all peace-seeking nations to join forces in a united and concentrated effort to eradicate the dangerous scourge of terrorism.
5 Katyusha rockets were fired from Lebanon toward Israel last week, 2 of which hit open spaces in the Upper Galilee, causing no injuries. The 3 other missiles misfired and landed in Lebanese villages. Residents of Israel's northernmost city of Kiryat Shmone reported that the rockets landed around 7 a.m. An IDF spokesman called the attack from Lebanese soil an inexcusable, unacceptable, blatant breach of Israeli sovereignty that jeopardizes thousands of civilian lives in the north and a reality that no sovereign state could accept. The IDF located the source of the rocket fire within the Hezbollah stronghold and retaliated forcefully with artillery fire. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu accused the Hezbollah satellite army of Iran, operating in Lebanon, of stationing thousands of missiles and rockets in the apartments in the heart of residential neighborhoods, perpetrating 2 war crimes simultaneously by firing at civilians while hiding behind and using other population groups as human shields. He went on to warn that the IDF will act with even greater force in the future if it becomes necessary.
Israeli Jews have become the targets of vehicular terrorist attacks. Just last week, there were 3 separate incidences of Palestinian terrorists running down Israeli police officers and civilians with cars. The terrorists then fled into nearby Arab villages. All of the Israelis targeted in the hit-and-run attacks were lightly injured and are expected to make full recoveries.
An Islamist terror attack in Iraq on Christmas Day left 34 Christians dead and dozens wounded. Muslim terrorists detonated a major explosion at a church during Christmas services, targeting worshipers as they prayed. Christians in Egypt, Syria, and the Palestinian territories remain on heightened alert amid the ongoing Islamist campaign to push them out or destroy them, leaving scores killed and hundreds fearing for their safety. This year also marks the second Christmas that Christian pastor Saeed Abedini remains imprisoned in Iran. The U.S. citizen was sentenced to 8 years behind bars for participating in faith-related activities in the Islamic Republic.
While Christians throughout the Middle East suffered persecution and violence during Christmas, the Christian community in Israel was celebrated. Israeli Defense Forces held a special ceremony to honor Christians who serve in the IDF. Just before Christmas, the Army held a special tribute to brave Christian Arabs who risked being ostracized by their community for their allegiance to the State of Israel. A spokesman for Father Gabriel Nadaf, a Greek Orthodox priest from Nazareth, said that the Middle East is a very dangerous place for Christians, except for those who live in Israel. He said that in Syria and Iraq, Islamic militants are burning churches, slaughtering Christians, and raping Christian women. The Christian Arab community in Israel is torn between their Arab ethnicity and their religious beliefs. The Arab Christians who choose to serve in the IDF say that they are threatened by the Arab Muslim community. Regardless of the threat, Arab Christian enlistment in the IDF has doubled since last year, and Father Nadaf believes that these figures will continue to rise.
Israel's military chief of staff, Lieutenant General Benny Gantz, has named the Reconnaissance Regiment of the Golani Brigade as the IDF's top unit of 2013. The soldiers were celebrated at a prestigious ceremony where they were presented with the Chief of Staff's award. In addition to protecting Israel's northern border from threats originating in Syria and Lebanon, the brigade was also dispatched to the southern border with Gaza. The Golani Brigade's Reconnaissance Regiment is also responsible for submitting the initiative to establish a field hospital in the Golan Heights to treat Syrians wounded in the ongoing civil war. The regiment's commander, Lieutenant Colonel Roe Levy, said that his troops undertook a variety of special operations that never reached the media, and that when the first wounded Syrian reached Israeli territory at the beginning of the year, we didn't ask who they were, but just gave them medical treatment according to our system of values.
Israel's Central Bureau of Statistics announced that the population of the Jewish state has surpassed 8 million people. The CBS report states that 175,000 babies were born in the Jewish state in 2013, and that Israel is on track to reach a population of over 11 million people by the year of 2035.
Those who dreamed about the Jewish state, those who wrought the historical miracle, and against all odds established a state. Those who arrived in the homeland to their new home. Those who propelled Israel forward step after step.
I have no doubt that this expanded partnership with our many Christian supporters will greatly strengthen Israel in the years ahead. And I want to thank you all for being part of that historic effort and that historic partnership. May God bless all of Israel's friends throughout the world. May God bless you.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here in yet another beautiful day in Jerusalem on our rooftop studio. My guest today is Moshe Capel, the founder and CEO of the Kohelet Policy Forum. Moshe, thank you for being on the show.
It's my great pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, Josh.
Moshe, tell our viewers a little bit about what is the Kohelet Policy Forum.
Okay, the Kohelet Policy Forum deals with three basic issues. The first is Zionism. We want Israel to be the nation state of the Jewish people. The second is free markets. We don't want socialism, we want capitalism. And third, good government. We don't want the government run by bureaucrats. We want the government run by elected officials. Those are the three areas that we work in, and we try to educate decision makers in the Knesset, in the government, to do things the way we think they should be done.
Well, you have your job cut out for you in all three areas. We've had major lacking in our structures in government and also in society. Israel is a socialist country. Its government is not representative. It's on a partyless system. What are some of the issues that you're taking on to make changes in these areas?
Okay, we're working in several different areas, as I said. With regard to the Jewish nation state, we have written up legislation which defines in a basic law Israel as the nation state of the Jewish people. This includes Hebrew as the national language. It includes all the Jewish symbols as the symbols of the state of Israel. It includes a Jewish calendar as the basis of Israel's calendar, and many more things that give Israel its Jewish character. That bill which we wrote, has been put forth by several members of the Knesset and is moving forward now. That's one area, but there are several others which we could talk about.
Well, another thing that's problematic in Israel is the horrible bureaucracy and red tape issues. What are some things that Kohelet's doing to try to find solutions in that area?
Okay, there are several areas in which bureaucrats are not letting elected officials do their job. The first, and probably the most important, is the area of legal advisors to government ministries. In Israel, due to a very strange decision by the Supreme Court many years ago, legal advisors are not in fact advisors. They're actually the bosses of their ministers. An opinion by a legal advisor is binding in Israel. We are working now on a bill and trying to move it forward within the Knesset that would make advisory opinions just that, advisory and nothing more. It's going to be hard work, but we're working at it.
You know, here in Israel, it's completely socialist in the way society works. You know, the taxes are out of control here, and people really believe that the government's job is to give them a living in many respects. What are some of the issues in that area that you're using Kohelet to tackle?
That's absolutely right, Josh. Israel does have a socialist tradition, which is slowly being overcome in recent years, but there's a long way to go. We're working in many areas of cleaning up socialism and trying to bring around free markets. I'll just give you one example, which we've had some success with. There are many cartels, especially in the food industry. Only a small number of companies favored by the government are allowed to work in the area. And one of them, for example, is the honey cartel, where only two companies completely dominate the market because of a honey council, which has statutory power and only allows those two to work and gives out licenses very sparingly to others. Due to our efforts, the Ministry of Agriculture just announced that they are taking all statutory powers away from the Honey Council. Therefore, in that area, we're moving towards free markets, and we're going to continue in various other areas.
You know, one of the big myths in Israel is that taxes are so high and there's so much regulation, bureaucracy, because we need a strong, powerful military, and that all the money's going to the military, and that there's nothing we can do, and the military is so essential, which it is, so everyone just has to suck it up. Is that true?
No, unfortunately, that's not quite true. The military budget in Israel is quite high, but certainly not high enough to justify the kind of high taxes and government regulation that we have in Israel. No, we could certainly lower taxes and we could certainly limit regulation without harming Israel's security one bit.
I was told actually that the military budget, a third of it, is just going to entitlements and packages for people who are retiring. It doesn't even go to the active military.
In fact, it is going to pensions. officers in the Israeli career officers retire at the age of 45 with full pensions, and then they go on and take other jobs while they're getting their pensions. This is the kind of thing that has to stop.
You know, something else that's really bothersome is being from America and Canada is that I have no representative in the parliament. You know, I elect some party list once every 4 years, and then you don't hear from anyone again. What can be done to bring real direct representation to the electorate?
Well, that's an interesting and controversial question, Josh. The question of whether proportional representation or direct election of officials is preferable is one that I don't want to get into now because there are very subtle arguments here. But one thing does need to be pointed out, and that is that even if you use a proportional method, it's very important that you choose individual representatives in the Knesset so that a member of Knesset has responsibility to his constituents. There are ways to do that within proportional representation, but I agree with you, it's absolutely important that the system be changed so that specific individual representatives have responsibility to their constituents, and that's something we're working on.
Moshe, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
The important thing is that Israel be strong, that Israel be the nation state of the Jewish people and represent the interests of the Jewish people all over the world. The way to make that happen is not to give more power to government bureaucrats. The way to make that happen is to give more power to the citizens of the state of Israel who know what's good for them and what's good for the Jewish state and what's good for the Jewish people.
Thank you, Moshe, for being on the show.
Oh, it's been a great pleasure.
And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
This is Jerusalem, Israel's capital city. It's an ancient and modern treasure that is beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
Up next, Shining Light from Israel.
I'm standing in downtown Jerusalem. This is my 73rd trip to Israel. I take groups. I enjoy coming to Israel because it seems like home. all of my friends here say welcome home. It is home though, because it's the home of my culture, it's the home of my upbringing, and it's the home of Christianity and Judaism. Those two go hand in hand. Jesus, of course, is my personal Savior. And as I bring groups here, I talk about why they should come. Every Christian should come to Israel at least once. And once you come once, you'll want to come back again. Once you're in Israel, you read the Bible from a different perspective. Before then, it's in black and white. After you visit Israel, it's in vivid color. Color because you walk the streets where the patriarchs walked, and you walk the streets where Jesus walked. Up north, around the Sea of Galilee, 80% of everything that's in the Bible about Jesus, that Jesus did, that he was involved in, happened around the Sea of Galilee. But the last 7 days of Jesus' life was right here in Jerusalem, and that's where we get our real meaning of Christianity. Some people say that Christianity is defined by Jesus' birth. It's not though. Christianity is defined by Easter. Easter is what happened the last 7 days of Jesus' life. You need to come. You need to come to Israel.
Anywhere else, this would be a vacation by a lake. But this is the Sea of Galilee. The wonders of Israel are beyond belief. There's a little bit of Israel in all of us. Come find the Israel in you.
Please stay tuned for the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
In 1980, the Israeli parliament passed a law declaring a united Jerusalem as the eternal capital of the State of Israel. Threatened by the Arab League with an oil embargo, national embassies in Jerusalem closed their doors. That same year, Christians from around the world gathered in Jerusalem to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. Sensing the isolation of the Israeli people, the participants and leaders of this gathering decided to establish the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem.
It's always important for us to remember that the Christian Embassy was actually established out of the Feast of Tabernacles. And this is something which marvels me until today, to think that for now, more than 30 years, Christians are coming from all over the world to celebrate with us a Jewish festival, Sukkot. Ray, what is your experience with that?
Just for me personally, it's such an amazing expression of unity of the body of Christ to see so many Christians from so many different backgrounds, from so many different faith origins, and they come to Jerusalem, and everything is kind of put aside with just this heart and intent to number one, worship the Lord, but then also to want to be a blessing to this nation and an encouragement to this nation. I think it's a great opportunity for people to come, and it's a great season for people to come and visit Israel.
You are traveling all over the world. You know what it means to see churches all over the world supporting Israel.
Yeah, we not only have a mandate here in Israel, but we also have it in the nations.
Yes.
And in the nations, we serve the local body of Christ with our message. Jesus at the center, his character of covenant-keeping God highlighted in his dealings with Israel. And the Lord has been good to us. We've been able to touch the whole nations. We raised the global prayer on behalf of Israel, and we are acting as a bridge between the Gentile nations and Israel. And we do all this because we know that whoever blesses Israel shall be blessed.
Actually, to bless Israel, practically there's much more than just coming here as a visitor to this land. Nicole, what can people do in order to help Israel very practically?
Well, since Israel was established as a nation, you know that they've been very successful in a great many areas. However, there's still a lot of challenges that Israel faces today in the area of social needs. And it gives us an opportunity as Christians to reach out in a practical expression of love and support for this people and to say to Israel that she's not alone. We have the privilege and the opportunity to work with every sector of Israeli society, whether that's the Jewish, secular, Orthodox, Arabs, Druze, Bedouin, everyone in the whole society. We have the opportunity to work in every sector.
I like what 1 Corinthians 13 says, the love chapter, how it describes love as patient and kind. It also says that love rejoices in the truth. As Christians, we want to be out there, and we carry out our media publications initiative through many mediums. We have a daily news service where reports go out by email. We also post it on our website, www.icej.org. And we have a weekly radio program, Front Page Jerusalem, heard on about 100 Christian radio stations across North America, also around the world. We have weekly TV spots now on Daystar. We're going to be working with God TV on a weekly program called Word from Jerusalem. And our monthly magazine is also called Word from Jerusalem, which it gives you updates about our events, our activities, also current affairs, analysis. I think most important Bible teachings about Israel. And I think when you get to the core of it, we want to speak biblical truth to the church, to the nations about Israel.
You just had the privilege to meet our leadership team here in Jerusalem and to be part of one of our strategic meetings which take place every single week here. Here we strategize, we plan, we think about how we can bless Israel at the best. And I want to invite you personally today to partner with the International Christian Embassy here in Jerusalem. We are your embassy. We want to be there for you in order to convey your blessings and to convey your love to the Jewish people. Please stand with us, please pray for us, and prayerfully consider to support us financially. Thank you so much, and may the Lord bless you here out of Zion.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us for your Israel updates.